Hello. Hello.
Hi, Rod. Hi. Sorry, Nicholas. Hi.
Hi, Alistair. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you?
Can't complain. Still working from home these days.
Well, I've actually come
But
into the office for a rare moment. So yeah. So
it's lovely to see, I must admit.
makes a change. So there we go.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'm loving the pictures in the background. Oh,
There's a few bits and bobs. Yeah, I could see the view out of that way, but we'll go for the pictures instead. So yeah, no
yeah,
worries. No worries.
yeah.
Do you want
That's
me to see
lovely.
if I can share my PowerPoint? All right, just see if it works. All right.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to quickly go through and make sure that it all works as it should.
Okay. Let me have a quick
before
go.
we start.
How does that look?
That looks great.
And then I just click through it, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely. That's really great. I had the opportunity to see through it a little bit, so I'm excited. I mean, working for DFDS, then obviously I know quite a bit about C-Truck as well.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, surely, yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be relevant, but yeah, hopefully it'll work all right. So we'll see. How many people do you think will join?
It's hard to say. We've had quite a fluctuating numbers, from one webinar being quite a few and another being quite too little for
Yeah,
our
yeah, sure.
liking.
No
But,
worries.
fingers crossed. It's always different every week.
That YouTube link that you sent, I clicked on it and it didn't work, by the way. It came up with some error message saying, I don't know what it said, but it didn't work for me when I tried it, just so you know. So
Okay, good to know. Let me just try to
I mean,
open
I can do it. Do you want me to share the screen and show what happens? Hold on.
Sure.
How do I do this? Yeah, so if this is your email here, yeah? So click on that and it comes up with that. So the video is restricted. Try signing in with a G Suite account, whatever that is, unless our IT kind of prevents it. But I can watch YouTube normally in the office. So
Okay, well, I have a alternative link here. Just give me one moment.
I don't know if that's how people watch it, or they're just going to do the Zoom thing, aren't they? I suppose so.
Just give me 1 minute, and I'll try to see if this works.
There's that link on the top left that says live on YouTube. I don't know if that works. If you click that.
No, I think that's more just an indicator that it is live at the moment.
Right. Okay.
I mean, you can click view stream on YouTube, but then you'll have a feedback loop, so it'll just play over each other. But let's just see, because I myself am not the Zoom expert. To be frank. Let's see, because I can open the chat here and let's see. So are you able to see the chat?
I can see the chat and I can see the link in the chat there, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to try and copy that? Try that? Oh, yeah. Sure. Let me just click on it. I get the same message. The video is unavailable. The video is restricted. I get the same message that way too.
Let's see, because it might be that it's because I'm giving that link based off of being a admin for this YouTube page. Because on our LinkedIn, we have it also shared. Okay. Obviously, it's a little bit of a different link.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah. Just give me one moment. But no, that's good to know. Just we'll double check that it all is working as it should. So
what's your role in DFGS, Nicholas? What do you do?
Well, I was a trainee for 2 years under the graduate program.
It's got quite a good graduate program, isn't it? I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be quite good. You know, with the right mentors and the right opportunities, then you can really make a big difference. And I was sent first to Lithuania for my first year in Klaipėda. Okay. And then in my second year, I was sent to Oslo to work out of our logistics office there.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I was quite lucky that I was fast-tracked out of the program.
Okay.
Because there was a position that was open in Rotterdam, and then just by chance, one of the managers who I knew in Lithuania, he had switched from our German office to the Dutch office, and he just said, "Yeah, well, Nick is the one to come in. I don't want anybody else," and that was a really nice start.
So you're in transport then? You're in DFS transport then?
Yeah, I'm working with Seaways.
Oh, Seaways, right? Okay, right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Hello, Rod.
Hey, hello.
Hello there. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
I just see I changed my camera, so
whatever, it's no problem. So
welcome, Rod.
Yes.
I just want to do a quick check with you to make sure that everything for Zoom is working for you as well.
Yeah.
So would you mind trying to share your screen?
Yes, let me see. Here I go. Yes. You see it?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
If I click this one, you should. Now you see only the presentation, I think, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's still, yeah.
It's still, at the moment, it's still showing it's not quite in slideshow yet. I don't know if you didn't hit it there or what. You can still see the slides on the left.
I see. 1 second. Let me check. I do differently.
Well, you hit the right button. It just didn't seem to do it when you hit it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it shows this one. Let me see. I'll try again. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. That's why we're doing this now, to make sure everything runs smoothly later on.
Because now you should see it without notes, or
no, I still see all.
I still see the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay, strange. Because now I only see it without notes.
Oh, really? Right.
It's strange. Yeah, because the
it still works. You can run through it. It's just that people will see the next slide.
Yeah. Can you try to just go through the next slide, just so that we know that it's still working quite fine?
Yeah. Let me see this one.
Are you using a second screen? I wonder if it's which screen have you shared? Have you shared your second screen and rather than your first screen?
Yeah, I think you're right here, Alistair.
Might be something to do with a second screen, maybe.
Yeah, 1 second. I will stop sharing this one, and then I will.
Sometimes with second screens, it flips out, doesn't it?
Oops, okay. Okay. Then I share only this one. So. Oh, no.
I tried. No.
1 second. And now?
No, it's just the same. It's just showing the slides down the left and then the bigger slide in the middle, but it's not gone to the full slideshow.
That's strange. Let me. Because indeed, I think it has to do something with the second screen.
But can you at least go from one slide to the next? Just so that we can, I mean, worst case scenario, at least then we'll be able to see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not exactly ideal, but it's not the worst thing that can happen in the world.
Yeah, let me figure it out. I think there should be some reason I can do this. So, yeah, I think I have to unplug maybe the second screen or something. But...
Yeah, I mean, I normally have a second screen, but I'm just literally on my laptop here, and it seemed to work fine if I just work purely on the main screen kind of thing. So.
Let's see. Yeah, what I will do, I will unplug. I will leave you for 1 minute. I will plug it.
Oh, well, at the end of the day, that's why we do this.
No,
fair enough. To make sure that everything works as we would like it to.
So how's business in DFDS in Rotterdam then? Is it kind of going okay, or?
We're recovering, I would say. I think the entire industry as a whole, regardless of the market, has taken a bit of a hit from the virus, but we're seeing numbers go back up again.
Yeah, last 2 weeks have been quite busy for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's the general trend globally. Actually, now things are starting to pick up.
Yeah.
Industries are starting to open up again, and then that just means that people are ready to get back to work. Things have to move. The world can't stop moving.
No, surely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so work is good. You know, DFDS is a big company. We got to keep moving. It's the way it is.
That is true.
So let's try again.
Yes.
Now, you see it, or you still see it with the notes?
Can't see anything, just see you.
Yeah.
Even worse.
Unbelievable. Oh, let me see. I'm not a wizard in this, but this should not be complicated normally. Hang on for 1 second. I will just start up. Maybe what I do, I will log in again, if that's okay for you, because I switched off the other one, and maybe then it...
Maybe reboot as well. Maybe just do a quick reboot as well or something.
Okay.
No worries. All right.
Yep. It's a waiting game.
Okay. Do I just stay on this call until it starts, or should I go off and come back in? Or
It's up to you. I mean, we still have 20 minutes until then, and it was just to make sure that if something
yeah, well, I mean,
we
mine
had
works
some
fine,
time.
I think, doesn't it? So yeah, if that's okay. I've just got a couple of calls I can make quickly.
Sure,
So.
absolutely, no problems. We're officially live, so just be careful if it's some confidential calls that all of a sudden become heard in the background.
I'll come off and then I'll leave the call and come back on. So all right.
No worries.
I'll come back on in a few minutes. Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Hi. Let's try again.
Yes. Okay. I think this should be better. But let me share my screen. Okay. This one. You see this one?
Yes. And now it's thinking.
Now it's thinking indeed. Let me just... Now, how do you see now?
Perfect.
Very good.
Looks great.
Okay, and can I move 1 second? Yes, I can. Very good.
Lovely.
Nice.
Great.
Okay.
So
yeah,
we still have let's see, we still have another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So the video is already live now as it is. I mentioned that. So I mean, this is all recorded already.
Yeah.
But I just checked. The only spectator so far is me, so that's good.
Very good.
But yeah. So if you need to make some phone calls, that's why Alistair has left the call for now.
Yeah.
But if you need to make some phone calls or anything before we get started, I mean, feel free. Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll start at 6 o'clock sharp, basically when both you and Alistair are back. Then we'll get into it.
Super. Then I will come back in a few minutes.
Yes.
One question I had, because during this presentation, I will go very briefly. It's not even 10 minutes, I think. It's only
okay.
Go over my career and some tips, I think, or
yeah.
lessons I learned, whatever. I think that's what you guys want to hear also.
Yeah.
But also, during this, when I see the slides, I see myself talking now, but also the spectators see me still talking.
They will see you as well.
Yeah, okay, because that's a good thing. Otherwise, they're only looking at some stupid photos.
No, they'll see both of you. So it's great. Don't worry about that.
Super. Okay,
great.
Very good.
Then I will see you in a bit.
Yeah, I will be back in about 10 minutes then.
Great.
Sure.
No worries. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye. Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello again.
Hello again. It worked, Alistair, at least 10 minutes ago.
Oh, really? Good effort. Well done. All sorted.
All sorted. Very good.
Perfect. So, we'll just give it a few more minutes before we get started.
Yeah.
Just need to do some last minute checks.
Should I already share my screen or not yet?
Not yet. I'll introduce you. So the way I have it set up is that I'll introduce Rod, and then I'll be introducing Alistair. And then Alistair, once I have introduced you, it will be you who is presenting first.
Okay, cool, no problem.
Just give me one minute.
Where are you actually located, Alistair?
I'm just near Lancaster, about an hour north of Manchester. So if you know the English Lake District, just below the English Lake District, if I turned my camera the other way, you'd see across the bay to the Lake District. So northern England. So
yeah. Super nice. I did
no, it's not too bad. Rotterdam for you, is it? Or
yeah, it's water, a bridge, and nothing more actually. Some buildings, but no. But the lakes will be super nice. I went to the 24 Peaks last year with Keresbook Shipping.
Oh, really? Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Was that the lakes? Was it? Sorry. Yes, it was. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Right. You don't find so many hills where you are over there, probably. So.
No. My the only hill I meet is the bridge I have to cross to my work, but that's all.
Did you get around all the 24 peaks or not?
Yeah. We did quite nice.
Well done. Right. That's pretty impressive. So well done.
Yeah. We were a bit lucky with nice weather and a very nice team. So that's actually most important.
Yeah. Excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's just over there, basically. So yeah. So that's where we are. So.
But then it's not really a shipping town where you're in, isn't it?
No, not really. I mean, it's got a ferry port, but it's not. You wouldn't call it a shipping town. No, we are the kind of shipping town, if you like. So, yeah. No, Heysham is the port where we are here. So, in fairness, Stena sail from here, and it's where the Isle of Man ferry goes from as well. So, in the middle of the Irish Sea there. So, yeah.
Nice. Very good. I think I never took your ferry. I sailed quite along the coast there in Liverpool and with the coasters to Ireland.
Yeah, we sail from Liverpool too, so we have an operation in Liverpool as well. So yeah, we're kind of Liverpool and Heysham. Yeah, that's right. But we're purely cross Irish Sea. We don't kind of venture further afield at the moment. So
it's competitive or not?
Yeah, Stena, P&O, Irish ferries, all the usual horrible people. Yeah, so nice competitors. I mean, luckily no DFDS, so it's all right. So.
Very good.
If the FDS came in, then we would just take over the whole thing, and that wouldn't be fair, would it?
You did try that a few years ago and left after 6 months, if I recall. But there we go. So yeah.
You're pushing it here, Nicholas.
Well, in any case, let's get this webinar started then. Yes.
Yes.
So welcome to everyone who is watching us now live. My name is Nicholas Saretslev, and I'll be the moderator for this webinar, which is episode 3 of Captains of Our Industry. As I said, my name is Nicholas Saretslev. I work for DFDS, as we were just joking a bit back and forth there. And obviously, I'm also a board member of Youngship Rotterdam and have organized this event, or at least this episode. So today, the subject of our webinar is In Pursuit of Opportunities. I think that many young people have many opportunities in front of them, especially in the shipping industry. One of our challenges is how we actually identify those opportunities and how we take advantage of them. Luckily today, we have Alistair Eagles, the CEO of Sea Truck Ferries with us, and Rod Schlick, Director of Friday & Co. Shipbrokers. And luckily, we've got both of these guys who have plenty of experience in the industry and can give us a lot of information and a lot of advice today. So as I mentioned, Rod is the director of Friday & Co. Shipbrokers based here in Rotterdam, where I'm also based. And this is a business that he actually started himself. So we'll be hearing from him a little bit later, but I would like to introduce Alistair, who will begin with a presentation a bit about himself and Sea Truck Ferries, of which he is the CEO. Alistair is based in the UK. So without further ado, Alistair, I yield the screen to you.
Okay, let's have a go, see if we can get this working. Right, we're sorted, I think. Okay, yeah. So my name's Alice Regals, and I'm chief exec of Sea Truck Ferries. If you want to get in contact, there's all my details there. We do a fair bit on social media if you like looking at nice pictures of ferries and whatever. So what Sea Truck do is really encapsulated in this picture. We're a freight ferry operator, and we operate freight ferry services on the Irish Sea. 3 routes, around about 72 sailings a week at the moment, and primarily specialising in the shipment of unaccompanied trailers, just the trailers on their own. Our ships are freight ships, not passenger ships. So that's a kind of quick image of what we actually do on a day-to-day basis. That picture's taken in Dublin. But, you know, this is a presentation to Youngship. I don't feel very young at the moment, so just to prove that once upon a time I was young, I thought you should maybe see this picture. I think I was about 18 or 19, maybe 20 in this picture from my young person's rail card. I went to university after doing my A-levels. I did transport management at university for some unknown reason. And university to me wasn't about drinking and drugs and all the kind of things that other people were doing. University for me was entirely about whitewater kayaking. And I spent my entire life kayaking the rivers of Europe and around the world. And the third year of my course, I had to get a year in industry, a year of industrial experience before going back for my final year. So my primary objective for my year out was not a particular industry sector, but to get a job near rivers. So I applied to work for companies that were near mountains and near rivers. I ended up getting a job for a small ferry company called Merchant Ferries, that operated from a place called Heysham Port I'd never heard of, which was very close to the Lake District in Northern England, where I did a lot of whitewater kayaking. So I got a job with Merchant Ferries, got into the kind of ferry industry, went back for my final year, and Merchant Ferries then offered me a job to go back and work for them after I graduated. So I liked the area, I liked the company, went back to work for Merchant Ferries. Then after about 3 years of doing that, I'd worked my way onto the commercial side, was doing a lot of the kind of commercial stuff, speaking to customers. A group of us within Merchant Ferries, talking about opportunity, saw a potential opportunity to start our own ferry company. Merchant Ferries had pulled out of a port in Ireland called Warren Point that they were sailing to, left a hole in the market, and a group of us kind of planned and plotted in darkened rooms, found someone to rent us a ferry. And in April 1996, Sea Truck was born when I was 24. And our business plan when we started out was really simple. I'm a big believer in simplicity in business. I think everyone overcomplicates things far too much. I think business is actually very simple. And our business model is the same today as it was then. And it's 3 things. We're a freight-only ferry operator. We don't want to deal with nasty, horrible passengers who complain a lot. We want to deal with freight. Historically on the Irish Sea, a lot of freight moved driver accompanied. Most of the freight, in fact, 24 years ago, went with the driver attached. We thought it was much more efficient just to ship the trailer. So we kind of introduced unaccompanied trailer shipping on the Irish Sea. And then finally reducing road mileage by operating from ports that are closer to the origin destination of the goods. And that business model is exactly the same today as it was 24 years ago. And in terms of routes, we initially started Heysham Warren Point in 96. We added Liverpool to Dublin in 2007, Heysham to Dublin in 2011. And so we're currently carrying around about 350,000 trucks per year on the Irish Sea, which is about 20% of the total Irish Sea market. The green lines in the middle of the Sea Truck routes. The other ones are nasty competitors, are lovely competitors, sorry. So there we go. This is the very first sailing, leaving the berth in Warren Point, the very first sailing in April 1996. That first sailing left Ireland, arrived in Heysham in the UK, smashed into the quay wall, put a hole in the side of the ship, bigger than a small bus. The ship was then under repair for about 5 days. And that first week of Sea Truck Ferries, we shipped 70 trailers. And thought that the world had come to an end and we would never make it. And there have been so many times in our history where we maybe wouldn't have made it. But from that 70 trailers a week in the first week, we now roughly do around 7,000 trailers a week. and we've come an awful long way. It hasn't been without its moments and its moments of interest and difficulty. We all have our bad days in the office, I suppose. The next picture was probably one of our bad days in the office. This was a particularly bad day in January 2008, and that's the beach at Blackpool, where we installed a new tourist attraction for quite a few months, as the river dance was, well, as you can see, a total constructive loss in the end, and certainly learned a few lessons there about cargo securing inside trailers. But, you know, that's a small ship, 50 units. We moved on, we did some new buildings. We got bought out by Clipper in Denmark, which helped fund some new buildings. And this is how we are today, with a fleet of 8 relatively new purpose-built ro-ro ships. I say about 20% of the trade on the Irish Sea moving with us, and in a very strong market position at the moment. I'm so glad we're not a passenger operator right now, for instance. Freight has obviously dipped, it's come back up. But, you know, we are certainly weathering the storm and looking forward to the kind of next chapter, which will involve our 25th anniversary next April, which we're very much looking forward to. But that's all kind of boring, and it's all about ferries, and that's all really dull. And I'd much rather talk about kayaking. So let's talk about kayaking instead. So this is me probably, I don't know, 25 years ago. And this is a part of a river called the River Swale in the Yorkshire Dales. And as I said at the start, I believe that business is pretty simple. And anytime I feel business getting complicated, I think about whitewater kayaking, because I think it's quite a good analogy. So I'll talk about 3 quick things before I finish. The first one about kayaking is opportunity. We would drive around for weekends after weekends waiting for it to rain. This particular river, the River Swale, is only kind of that colour and only that full of water probably about 3 or 4 times a year. And we hit this river this particular day on the day where you could absolutely do all the waterfalls, where it was absolutely perfect conditions. And we hit it just right. And if we'd sat down and had a meeting about it and all sat around the board table thinking about whether we should seize that opportunity or not, the opportunity would have gone. The next day, the river was half empty again, not kayakable, not possible. So I think sometimes in business, you have to really grasp an opportunity. We grasped an opportunity 24 years ago when we saw this chink in the Irish Sea that we could exploit. But those opportunities may only be around for a short time. The best people to know if it's an opportunity or not are yourselves. But sometimes you'll see an opportunity that you just have to take. And of course, there is risk involved. Of course, when you kayak off the edge of a waterfall, there are some risks involved in that. But again, you are the best person to take that calculated risk about whether it's safe to take that opportunity. And that photograph, which I still have on my desk somewhere over here, you know, reminds me that you have to grasp opportunity sometimes, and sometimes you also have to take a few risks in business. And you can do as many Excel spreadsheets as you want. Sometimes you have to rely on gut feeling and whether you think the opportunity is worth taking or not. And gut feeling is not something you hear about in many business presentations, but I think it means an awful lot. The second thing is decision making. Kayaking over a waterfall is really simple when it comes to decision making. It's kind of a binary choice. It's yes, I'm going to canoe over the waterfall, or it's no, I'm going to carry my canoe round the side and I'm going to get in at the bottom. There's no kind of in-between choice when it comes to kayaking over a waterfall. And so many times in business, I see groups of people getting together to discuss lots of things, to discuss whether to go yes or no, and ending up somewhere in the middle without a yes or a no. And if you kayak over a waterfall and you're not fully committed to it, you don't fully say yes. You know, if you decide the answer is actually no when you're half a meter from the edge, bad things will happen. So, you know, I think I use yes, no quite a lot as a powerful business tool. You know, do we deliver excellent customer service? Go and ask your customers that. You know, do we deliver excellent customer service? You can only answer yes, no, and you'll learn a lot from those kind of questions. My wife asked me once, am I still as good looking as the day we got married? Answer, yes, no. That was more challenging. But using yes, no, and that kind of binary decision making. And if you're going to say yes, absolutely stick to it and absolutely go for it and keep paddling hard, kind of thing. And then the final thing is people and positivity. When you're canoeing over a waterfall, you're probably not doing it on your own. You've got a group of people around you. You're pretty reliant on those people. You need those people to be on side. You need those people to be supporting you. The absolute last thing you want when you're about to kayak over a waterfall is one of your teammates saying, I'm not sure if that's a good idea, or I don't think you can do it, or I think we should do something else. And you often see people like that in your business. And over the years, I've learned, just like kayaking, that if you've got people in your team that are telling you it won't work, that are negative, then actually the best thing to do is get rid of them. And it doesn't matter actually if it costs you a heap of money. It doesn't matter if you end up in an employment tribunal. You need to get those people out of the business. You don't want that person nattering on your shoulder as you're about to kayak over that waterfall. You need to surround yourself with positive people who believe your story. And if they don't believe your story, or they're not fully on board with it, then you don't want them in the company. You need to get them out. And the final thing for me over the years that I've learned in business, it comes a bit back to the gut feeling thing, but it's a positivity thing. When you're kayaking up to the edge of the waterfall, if you believe you're going to get down that waterfall safely, if you believe it's going to go okay, and if you fully commit to it, chances are it will probably go okay. If you've got this kind of niggling doubt, if you're not really quite sure, if you're feeling like, oh, I'm not sure about it today, and you don't fully commit to it, things will probably go wrong. If you believe something is going to work and you fully commit to it, it probably will. If you don't believe it's going to work and you don't commit to it, it probably won't. I'm not saying positive thought is the be-all and end-all of everything, but it's amazing what you can get done with positive thought, with surrounding yourself with people that are on the same page as you, with some clear yes-no decision-making, taking appropriate risks and grabbing those opportunities when they come to you. Whenever I get stuck in business, and I get stuck a lot, but when I get stuck, I think back to kayaking over the waterfall and just break it down. Is it a yes, no? Am I surrounded by positive people? Do I believe it will work? Are the risks valid or not? My friend who was kayaking over the waterfall the same day as me, he went after me. He was having a few doubts. He did exactly get about a meter from the edge and decide that no, that wasn't a good idea, and started furiously back paddling. This particular waterfall, you have to actually do it quite a lot of speed. You have to kind of leave the water and land about 2 meters from the bottom of the fall because there's rocks at the bottom. He pivoted over the edge of the waterfall, went straight down, and broke both his ankles. So you need to commit, remain positive, and paddle hard. So that's my short piece. I'll finish with a bit of a traffic jam of sea truck vessels arriving into Dublin Port last weekend, actually, in the sunshine. And I'll get rid of that Zoom call. So that's it from me, and I'll pass back to Nicholas.
Thank you very much, Alistair. I think that was a really great start for what I hope will continue to be a really good webinar. And some good words of advice at the end there, definitely. Now I'll be more careful going kayaking next time. But without too much delay, then I'd like to introduce Rod, Director of Friday & Co. Shipbrokers. Rod, would you like to do the honors?
Yes, let me go on this. Okay, thanks for the nice pitch, Alistair. It's, I think you will probably hear quite a lot the same from my side. Of course, I'm a bit of a different business segment. We are still purchase brokers, but what I will do, I will show you my contact details at the last slide. So it's up to the spectators to decide if they want to contact me or not afterwards. Basically, when I got your invitation, to talk about actually my passion of life is ships. And I'm a commercially driven person, so that's my drive for shipping. But the thing is, but before I start, actually, I want to give you one disclaimer before I forget. If I bazzle too much in cliches, you really have to apologize. Excuse me. It's not my intention, but if it happens, yeah, then please be excused. And otherwise, tomorrow I will be the laughing stock of the office anyway. So
I think the audience will appreciate it regardless, Rod.
Very good. I will try to avoid it. But anyway, so when I got your questions about the opportunities and how I get where I'm now from when I started, and to be honest with you, I'm still feeling I'm halfway down the road. I'm going somewhere which I not completely know what the end goal will be, but I still like feeling on the road. And I think that's one of the important things in your career. And what stage you are, you always have the feeling that you're going somewhere. Yeah, and that somewhere is what you decide yourself. But to get back at the start, basically when I started, I knew I wanted to do something in ships. So the obvious thing for me as a Dutch guy is to go to nautical school and go to get an education and sail on ships, which I did. And I think that's quite similar with a lot of people. You choose a study when you're quite young without actually really knowing what you want to end up to, what things will come in your path. And same happened to me. I really like ships. I really like sailing. I liked it. I sailed also on the car ferries, on heavy lift ships, on coasters. Coasters I like the best because basically you go all the way around Europe, small ports in and out with a small crew. So you feel you're responsible with, let's say, 10 people to make things work. But to be honest, after 8 or 9 years, I thought to myself, okay, is this it? Actually not. I'm not seeing myself doing this for the rest of my life. And I think that's recognized by a lot of people. Maybe when you're early in your career, you think, okay, is this the path I want to follow or do I want to change? And for me, actually, I came to the decision, okay, no, I want to go ashore, but I don't want to go in the obvious shore positions like a technical superintendent or an operational guy. I want to go into the commercial side. And then you have to figure out for yourself. And I think that's what everybody has to do then. Okay, I'm here. I want to go to that point. And what do I miss in skills? So I thought by myself, okay, I miss skills in some economical background, some law studies. So I just stopped sailing. I went studying again, which actually is quite good because you reset yourself, and then you challenge yourself to learn new things. You use your brain, crack your brain, which is a good thing to do anyway during your whole career, I think. To keep on trying to challenge your brain to come up with new ideas and keep on listening to other people. But so what I did, so I studied, and then I got a degree, of course, and then you're still nowhere. Basically, you're even less because you don't have a job on a ship and you have a big money debt in the bank because you studied again. So I just wrote, let's say, 1 million or 1 trillion letters, love letters to all the ship owners in the world, shipbroking offices. I knocked even so many doors, but to no avail. So basically, that's quite a setback. It took me a few months, and then I said, okay, I have to go sailing again because I have to earn some money. But the thing is, and that's actually the first lesson I learned, that if you just keep on trying and you know you want to go into a direction and don't be distracted by what other people are saying if it doesn't work. It's a bit similar to what Alice is saying. If you have people around you who doesn't push you in the right direction, or then don't listen too much to them. Basically, you just keep on trying because sooner or later you will get this success. And actually, same happened for me. After 2 trips again, I was called by a very small broking shop if I want to start coming by when I was back ashore, which I did actually. And then I just became a junior shipbroker. And I'm not sure if people know what a junior shipbroker means. Basically, it means no pay, long hours, and traveling all the time to the most shitty places. Basically, that's what you do. But for me, that was a super thing, the combination, the freedom, to be accountable for the things you do yourself, and to work in a direction where you want to, the commercial drive. So that's basically what I did. And that's, I think, also very important for most people. You have to figure out yourself if you are in an environment where you can, how we say it in Dutch, lay your egg. You have your space, you can do whatever you want, you're accountable for the things you do. And my advice is look for another job where you have this kind of room, because you're only young once, And before you know it, you pass your 50, you're gray like Alistair and me. And then, then it's a bit more difficult to move, to make these moves. So for me, actually, basically, I just start trying. And you have to be a bit cocky about yourself when you start trying. It's like Pippi Longstocking says, I don't know how to do it, and therefore I think I can do it. And basically, that's the attitude you need to have. And you think, okay, I'm not the best, but I see other people doing it, and I for sure can do it better. So that's a bit of drive I have, and I think most commercial people should have if you want to achieve something. So that's what I did actually, and like everybody know, basically shipping is a rather conservative world. So in that respect, you have to take the lead yourself. Don't wait for other people. Basically, that's a lesson I really learned at that time. So in that respect, if you know in what field you want to work in which direction you want to work in, but you don't have an end plan on how to get there, at least make sure that the environment you are working in at the moment is helping you in that direction. And that's very important. So then a bit about my life as a shipbroker. Basically, the shipbroker itself, you're always a middleman. Basically, just to come back on the last slide, I took a picture here, me in between two deers. Basically, it's picturing a bit your work as a broker, because basically you always try to keep everybody happy, but still moving both deers in the right direction. That both people are happy with the outcome. The thing is with the shipbroker, if you're working on sale and purchase deals, what we do, there's never a most perfect compromise. The best compromise for people actually is that one is feeling they didn't get everything they want, but the same counts for the other side. And that's basically the most magic thing you can achieve in shipbroking. If you only try to help one party to get the best deal, you never work it out for a long time, to be honest. So that's a bit about the job, how I feel it. But there's much more important things about doing business. If I look at now running a shipbroking business, we have two offices, one in Rotterdam and one in Riga. And we are specialized in sale and purchase of ships. And you do it with a rather small team. But in order to do this good, like Alistair said as well, you need to surround yourself with people who have the same drive, basically, and people who give you inspiration to move further. If you only have people around you who do the same thing as you do, or never challenge you on what you're doing, you will not get further. You need ideas, you need to crack your brain. That's one thing. So the team around you, for me, is one of the most important things to become better in the work, but also to create fun in what you're doing. Because I think the main driver to be good at what you do, running a business, establishing it, taking all the hits in your nose all the time, is if you do it with fun, with a nice team around you, in a nice environment, and so that you enjoy life while doing it. I think that makes it possible to do it for a long time. But the other hand is also you have to find a bit of balance. So I thought about what picture I should put in here in this presentation. And the thing is, balancing right away comes to mind, balance with your family. Basically, running an own business means actually you can work 48 hours a day if you want. You can really lose yourself in it, which is good. But you have to realize there are more people around you. And if you want to continue this for a long time, you have to find the balance in there as well. So what I learned is that you have to take your surroundings, whether it's your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, your kids, that they are aware of what you're doing and why you like it. And that's easier said than done. But if you do that, then people also dare to challenge you if you go too far. This is a picture of me calling during a holiday after 3 weeks. And I was literally on the phone for 3 weeks. And then suddenly my wife said, okay, Rod, now you have to stop. And she did it loud enough that my client could hear it as well. So he got the point as well. So and then it's okay, now I have to stop. So you have to get some counter force there as well. And the other thing is to wrap it up a bit is you have to be flexible in your path. For me, of course, when I started running a business, actually I wanted to become a ship owner. And that was my dream, basically. But you have to be flexible, because during the way this work I did, I found out actually this is much more fun. I have the freedom I want. I have not too many trouble about crews, etc., and these kind of people, which is fine. But basically, in this case, I was more interested in the commercial part, building up, selling ships, meeting people around the world, having a good contacts with big characters, etc., and these kind of things. That was my drive. So I changed that basically, and therefore I show a picture actually here. Instead of buying a real ship, we bought instead of the small miniature ship, which still we have an own ship, but it's a bit smaller. It's no crew. It's also good. So, and then the last one. You have to have fun. Like I said before, you have to have fun in what you're doing. If you have fun in what you're doing, it sounds a bit corny, but basically, if you like what you're doing, you can keep on going doing it. But sometimes you have to figure out yourself, what is the fun way of doing things? So when I visit people in the beginning, I said, okay, I can go in a plane or whatever, I can go do it very efficient, but instead I can do it also not so efficient. So I took my very old car, which cannot drive faster than 80 kilometers an hour, and I went just around Europe, meeting most of the ship owners around in the Baltics, in Scandinavia, in Italy, etc. It took me ages, but basically it gave me a lot of time to think, to talk with people, because you're in a much different mood, which for me is an example of how I did it, and which I think helped me to become where I am. So then the last slide with our contact details. So basically, very briefly, we are sale purchase brokers in second-hand ships, but then in niche markets like coastal markets, coastal tankers and dry cargo ships, multi-purpose ships and heavy cargo ships. Basically, that's what we do. Of course, we do deep sea as well, but we tend to focus a bit more on the smaller owners, the more relational type, smaller segments, which you really have to research and dig into in order to become knowledgeable. So if you ever have any questions, we are in Rotterdam. The email address is there. We're also quite active on social media. So in that respect, please reach out if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Rod. That was a lovely presentation as well. So now we'll go into the Q&A phase of the webinar. And Rod, I would like to start with you. I've prepared some questions for you guys, and as well, I'll be taking from the live feed as well for those watching. But I'll start with you, Rob, because I think that for many people working in the shipping industry, it is quite normal to be a seafarer first and then come to a shore-based position afterwards. But for example, me myself, I have not experienced that. So what was the transition like for you, and how difficult was it?
Actually, not so difficult. The thing is, of course, I love ships. I'm blessed with that. I cannot think of doing anything else apart from ships. The only thing for me was I didn't want to stay on a ship or do the technical job. So, but I want to do more commercial around it. And it's a gradual process. So basically, it's not that suddenly you decide to stop and you go ashore. So for me, actually, it was a process, like I explained. I said, okay, I need to have some extra skills, so I go studying again. So in that respect, I always had a certain drive where I wanted to end up to. And then suddenly the opportunity came in front of me to start as a junior broker. And of course, you're shooting for it. But if I got an invitation to work as a ship owner, maybe my career changed somewhere. But the change went very gradually. The only thing sometimes I miss it is, let's say, if I have a summer day, the whole day at the phone, all kinds of very difficult clients, let's put it like this, then I think to myself, okay, maybe the summertime hanging over the bridge ring somewhere in the Mediterranean is maybe a nice idea to do at this moment. But that's the only thing I think back. But for the time, for the rest, I really like what I'm doing. And I never felt it like a big change, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Well, then I would also like to ask a similar question to you, Alistair, because as you said in the beginning of your presentation that you just decided to study something almost. You wanted to go somewhere where you could go, and you want to work somewhere where you could go kayaking. And so at what point then was there a transition for you for when you kind of reached a point where you said, okay, well, actually, this is the right industry for me? How did you identify and understand and know that this was what you wanted to be doing?
For me, I think on my year out, the company I worked for was really small, really tight bunch of people. And actually going back to what Rod said, it was really fun. So it was a real fun company to work for. So, you know, when you go back and do your final year and they offer you a job, it was almost no choice. You know, I enjoyed working for them, and it was good fun. And you know, if you're not enjoying your job, get another one. I mean, like, life is short enough, and unless you enjoy what you're doing, please go and try and find something else as quick as you can, whether that be getting on a ship or whatever. But so yeah, I kind of, in a way, fell into it through kayaking. There's always that one point in your life where you think if I'd taken a different decision, my life would have gone differently. And for me, it was opening up the yellow pages, looking for a work placement, and just looking in the local yellow pages near the Lake District, trying to find shipping, transport, airlines, whatever it might be, something to do with transport that was near to hills. And I found this company, wrote them a letter. They gave me an interview, just like you. I wrote a load of letters. Most of them were ignored, but one came back, and you know, the rest is history, kind of thing. So, but yeah, whoever you work for, it should be fun, really. If it's not fun, I'd question what you're doing. I know that's easy to say in sometimes a difficult employment environment, and jobs they're not always easy to come by, but you should at least be enjoying it and enjoying the people you work with and having a bit of a laugh, you know. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, then I would like to ask both of you a question. Whoever goes first, I mean, I'll leave it up to you. But one of you is British, one of you is Dutch, one is a shipbroker, and one is working as a ship owner and operator. So even though you're both doing different segments and different niches within the maritime industry, what you have in common is that you both have started your own businesses. So I want to ask you three things. Want to ask you about three things. So how did you know it was time to pursue what you needed to pursue as far as your drive and your career? What kinds of risks did you really have to overcome to succeed? And what helped you overcome those risks and potentially other challenges along the way?
You can start on risk, maybe. I mean, for me, I'd kind of left university, gone back to work for this company that had given me my chance, kind of thing. I'd worked my way up. I was the commercial person, you know, dealing with all the customers. That company was going okay. So in a way, I'd got everything set up. It was all working out perfectly. I'd got the company car, and, you know, life was great, kind of thing. So to kind of jack it all in, to go and work for a company that at the time didn't quite exist, hadn't got a ship at that time when I resigned. I mean, it was awful resigning from the company that had given me that chance, kind of thing, that got me out of university and kind of given me my first job, to then go along to the guy that had responded to my first letter and given me that chance to say, actually, I'm resigning to go and set up a competing firm effectively. Mm-hmm. It was awful. But the drive for me, and what made me do it, I think the one thing that made me do it is the fact that I was young, actually. I don't think I'd do that now. I mean, you become much more risk adverse as time goes on. I don't kayak over waterfalls anymore. So, you know, if you're young and you see an opportunity and you haven't got all the ties of family and, you know, all the ties that come with age almost, that's the time when you are maybe more prepared to take risks, more prepared to kayak over waterfalls and dump a perfectly good job to go and work for a company that didn't even have a ship at the time that I joined them, you know, or the time we started it effectively. So yeah, I think being young is a massive advantage, actually. I think, you know, you guys who are young, I'm not quite 50, I'm 49, by the way, Rod, so you upset me earlier, but yeah, I'm almost here. In a month I'll be 50. But no, being young is a massive advantage because you are less risk adverse, you're more willing to take risks. And if it goes wrong, you've got a load of time to sort it out and work things out from there, you know. So yeah, that'd be my answer. I'm not sure what the question was, but there we go.
I think you just to hook on this, I think that's totally right. You don't think too much. And it sounds a bit silly, but also later in life, don't think too much through it. Because how more you think about things, how more bears you see on the roads. So basically, but when you're younger, it's a bit easier than when you're a bit older and there's more responsibilities, or at least you feel there's more responsibilities. But indeed, I think it's also in line when, to come back on your question, what's the timing to pursue your own business? There's not really a timing, it's an opportunity arising. But it's already in the building works for some time. You're driving already through there by studying or by learning the trade or looking around. It's some gradual process, and then suddenly you see an opportunity coming. You say, okay, this I can do, maybe alone or maybe with other people, and then you grasp it. And because indeed you don't think too much about it, you just do it. And the thing is, you have to realize for a lot of companies which started, a lot of people don't make it, but maybe they make it not on the first try, they make it on the second or the third try. So the thing is, you should not be too much afraid about failure. And that's the thing. I don't like the business kind of mentality in the US, but one thing is good there. If you go bankrupt there, it's not a negative thing on your CV. And so basically in Europe, it's a bit the other way around. People are very afraid to make a failure of themselves. But sometimes, you just try and it doesn't work, and then you try something else and that works. So for me also, that's the thing, just the opportunity arose and then you grasp it without too much thinking.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is a really good time because one of the questions from the live feed was this for both of you. Well, have you ever taken a risk that was maybe a bit too big of a risk and became a failure? And if I to say it correctly, one moment. The exact question was there a risk that you took that was too much, and what did you learn from that?
Maybe I can give you an example on this.
That was quick.
Yeah, and also not because you would think I would learn something from it. But basically, the thing is, for me as a shipbroker, we deal in second-hand ships, but also in new buildings. So in the market, when the market went up in 2007-8, there was a boom market. I thought, okay, I can do this better than the rest. I have some ideas about the ship design which should be built. So, and in order to instead of waiting for other people to come up, I will do it myself. So we made the design. I funded the design. It cost me a shitload of money, basically, and a lot of time, and I spent a lot of my reputation in it. I thought at that time, and it didn't fly because afterwards you bring it to the people and they say, this is not good. It's not good. Can you change things? But then, of course, the market changed. So you're sitting there with a very nice a project which doesn't work out. And you would think actually I would learn from that and go a bit more relaxed, but actually we're doing exactly the same now, because I think in essence the ideas may be good, but maybe the timing was not so good. So maybe that's what I learned from that as well.
Okay, that's yeah. And what about you, Alistair? Anything where you really felt that maybe it was a bit too risky, but you decided to give it a shot anyway?
Yeah, we've done loads of stupid stuff. I mean, at the top of the market that you're just talking about there, the back end of 2007, 8, 9, that area, we were out there building new ships, and, we didn't know when we were building those very expensive new ships that are perfect for our use and do a fantastic job every day for us. We didn't know we were building right at the top of the market. Had we waited 2-3 years, we could have built those ships at 20-25% less probably. And, we built ships at a point in the kind of banking crisis where when those ships arrived, we didn't need them all. So the one change in our business model that we had to make, and, wasn't planned as such, but we also became an operator of ships that we rented out to other people. We became a ship charterer effectively. So we had to adapt our model because we ended up with too many ships and not enough business. So yeah, we built ships that were far too expensive at the wrong time, and then we had too many, so we had to rent some out. In the end, that's kind of worked out okay. We actually ended up renting to our main competitor on the Irish Sea, who used the ships against us. So strange things happen. But yeah, we've made loads of mistakes. We started a route from Denmark to Norway that was a complete utter disaster and lasted about 3 weeks, and we gave up and came home, kind of thing. But I mean, yeah. Stick to what you know. If you know what you're doing, get on with that. If you don't know what you're doing, get some education, get some tips, find someone that does. But I think, take some risks, make some mistakes, not be afraid to make mistakes. But if you know it's not working, just like if you know you've got someone in the business that is wrong, negative, whatever, get rid of them. If you can see an idea isn't working, make a yes, no decision whether you're going to carry on with it or not. And if you say no, forget it, get out. If you say yes, give it your all and give it your best. But we've made loads of mistakes, absolutely, yeah. And I think every company does. I think whether they admit it or not and put it in their annual report, there are loads of companies making big mistakes. I was talking to a major operator, a major European operator of trucks the other day, who hedged their fuel in January for the whole year. Yeah. They bought fuel at the January prices to cover their entire year's supply, and look what's happened to fuel prices. So, they're feeling a bit silly, but they probably won't put that in the annual accounts, you know. So
yeah, great. Well, that's really good to hear, because I mean, I think that a lot of us who are watching the webinar now, we're looking up to you guys, and to, let's say, around your generation as well, because you're the people who are right on top of us, and the people whose jobs we want soon, so to speak. But
don't make the mistake of thinking we're something different to you guys, though. You know, we are no different than you, although maybe more grey hair. But you know, we were just the same as you guys one day, and through good judgment or luck or whatever it might be, we've ended up doing what we're doing. Sometimes quite a lot of hard work as well. But you know, we're no different. You know. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, what I was trying to get is that today or as in my generation, we can look up to your generation and learn things from you guys. But from when you were younger, or even now, if this is the case, this is one of the questions from the live feed, which is, who is a person in shipping that you both look up to, and who is someone you look up to outside of shipping, and why do you look up to them?
Ooh, good question. Maybe I'm I have people I look up to, but not really like business-wise. I have people I think, oh, that's a good guy and it's a good feeling. But for shipping itself, when I enter in shipping, of course I have respect, and I look very carefully how successful people did their thing, and what was the history. But also there, one thing you have to realize, even if you look up to people and try to follow an example, it's always very difficult to follow, because details always change. Yeah. One of your questions was basically also is the situation now different to start than when we started? And I think it's not. Basically, the opportunities are still there, only the details change. Yeah? So you have to have a bit of luck. You have to be able to take the opportunity. Of course, you have to look at people, how they do it, but learn only the good things. What I do as well, there were some, let's say, some ship owners here in the Netherlands, and they really established a very nice operation. Of course, and then I thought, okay, what can I learn from this, how they do this in my small business? And basically, it's only about how you control teams, or how do you make teams workable, these kind of things. And the same is actually also with it's outside. If you took outside shipping, my wife, she has a totally different working sphere, but I learn from her as well. So I think that's the crux actually. You have to be open to learn from people, but not follow too much blindsided because they are successful, because everybody does it differently.
I'm not a big one for kind of, I don't kind of idolize business leaders. I don't really read all the business books and all that kind of stuff particularly. And my management style, I guess you get the kind of leaders that are kind of hard hitting and, you know, angry and shouty and banging tables. And I'm not like that at all. And I think sometimes people see that as a weakness, that you're not kind of loud and brash and whatever. But, you know, in recent months, look at what the New Zealand Prime Minister's done. I mean, I think she's been fantastic leading her country through the virus. With maybe a similar management style, not shouting and screaming, but just a kind of measured, in control kind of approach. And but again, coming back to what you said about family, I think family is really important. And most of the major decisions in Seatruck have been discussed over our dinner table with both of the kids and Meg, my wife, and the dog looking on, kind of thing. And you know, although I wouldn't tell anyone apart from on a webinar at the moment, you know, we discuss quite a lot at home, and the family is integral to the business. And, you know, the family knows a lot of our customers, and the customers know a lot of our family. And, you know, I think I look to kind of the people around me quite a lot for inspiration, actually.
Yeah, that's great. Because Alistair, I also have a question from you from the feed, because you had one point about positivity. So one of the questions was, Alistair, how do you keep yourself positive, especially when there's a tough call to make?
I think you've just got to kind of think about what the strengths are of the particular issue you've got. So you've got an issue, and you don't have to be like, we don't have to be 10 times better than Stenaline for someone to come and ship with us, or 20 times better than P&O. You know, you just have to be that little bit better. And I think it's the little things. I think it's the little things you do. Everyone can ship a trailer across the Irish Sea. Everyone's got ships and we all do a similar job and similar reliability and similar sailing times and blah, 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 and similar prices, you know. So it's almost shipping becomes commoditized. The bulk carrier is a bulk carrier, you know, and it almost, how do you set yourself apart? And I think it's the little tiny things that set yourself apart that make all the difference, particularly with customers, and doing that little tiny bit extra, taking that phone call on holiday, you know, even with the wife shouting at you down the line, you know, just doing the extra little bits that sets you apart from the competition. And almost whatever the situation, I just think, well, what can we do extra? What's that extra little bit that we can do that will define us, that will make us better? And I don't know, maybe I'm just a positive person, but that doesn't mean I don't get kind of depressed and down and wonder how it's all going to go. But when I come into work, I come in with a positive head and we work our way through things, you know.
Yeah.
I think to hang on this, if I might, I think that actually that's the biggest driver in doing business. Once again, it sounds a bit cliche, but if you have fun and if you have positivism, going every day to work to do even the most challenging tasks, that's the way how to do it actually. Because if you're positive, you see opportunities earlier than bears on the road, if you know what I mean. So you have to. It's also a mentality question, I think, that you should not be too much afraid. Just look at the bright side of life in that respect, to see the opportunities to grasp them.
So to sum that up, would you then, both of you, agree that your mentality will actually help you being able to decipher what is the right call in a tough decision, and also potentially identifying and taking a certain opportunity? Would that be correct to say?
I think it helps to spot opportunities, but whether you make a right or wrong decision, you only find out once you've taken it. And like I said before, you take enough stupid decisions, but as long as you learn from it. And also that's the one thing I mentioned a bit in my presentation. You have to be flexible as well. If you have to see where the market is going, and especially if you run a business, you have to see what is coming up to you. But nobody can know exactly what's coming, like this ordering new builds when the market is on its peak, and nobody knew. With hindsight, it's easy to come with the theories about this. But the thing is, you have sort of a feeling where your opportunity arises, and that is where in the segment where it comes closest to what you are good at. If you're, we have a relation-driven business. Basically, for us, it's very important to talk with a lot of ship owners, and some ship owners I learned actually along the way. I should not waste too much energy because we never get this click, if you know what I mean. And in the beginning, I thought, okay, but come on, it's business. I just chase this and keep on going. And after a few years, you find out you never do business anyway because it doesn't work. So the better, what I learned from it, focus then on the clients where it works, and then it's much better results from that.
Okay. Well, I have a question that's also open for the both of you here. As we all know, and as you've also touched upon now, your network plays a significant role, and in this industry specifically. And Youngship Rotterdam is also a big network of people globally. So the question that I would like to ask is, everyone has their established networks and their go-to people, their go-to persons, their favorite broker, their favorite operator, their favorite salesperson. Everyone has these things. So how do you think it is possible, or do you think it is even possible that there are opportunities for young people in this industry to start new businesses? Is it impossible? Because as people know, it's what the market is demanding, and it can be an asset-heavy industry. So do you think there are opportunities still out there? And if there are, what is the best way for today to approach those opportunities? Is it different from when you were approaching your opportunities?
No, I don't think so, to be honest. I think you see people sitting in front of you now, which are examples that it can work. And it doesn't really, it's fixed to the timing when we started. I think the timing is, if you start now, you have the same opportunities, but maybe a bit different direction. I can tell you, when I started, people say it's the worst time to start. It was 2002, 2003. It was not a good market. There was consolidation going on. There was more digitalization, basically. And we hear the same story nowadays. So
I was actually just going to bring up consolidation in the market as an example of a challenge today, but
Yeah, but they said the same at that time. And of course, it's changed the landscape of doing business. But you have to realize when you're young, you are much more adapted to this new way of doing business than the old dogs. The most problem for the old dogs in the market basically is they are not able to adapt anymore. And so then you will lose out sooner or later. So you have to see your strength, and you have to be a bit cocky, like I said before. Just say, okay, he can do it or she can do it, then I can do it as well. Like I showed you the picture of driving with my Mercedes past all ship owners. Yeah, basically, yeah, I could have got all the doors in my face, but in the end, if you try and people see you making an effort, most people are open to talk with you and to see, and then you work it out. So don't be shy on just trying. That's my advice in that respect.
Yeah, I'd agree to an extent. I guess the difference with someone like us is, we're very asset heavy. We've got big bits of floaty stuff floating around. You can be a shipbroker with a mobile phone and an old Mercedes, it appears, So, so I guess it's different things. And I think the real trick going forward, particularly on digitalization, is how you can start a business that has a huge turnover, but maybe doesn't have any assets. And if you look at the kind of Ubers and, these kind of examples, much as we generally hate booking agents in ferry companies, but, is the market just going to go a completely different way? And is that where the opportunity is in terms of, the ferry side of it, the dry bulk side of it? Who knows? But yeah, it's not easy for a young person to go out and buy a 50 million euro ferry, for instance. That's not easy by any stretch. It doesn't mean it can't be done. There has been a lot of consolidation in our market. That might continue, who knows? But I don't think that means there aren't opportunities. It may be completely new opportunities that nobody's even thought about yet, So, and if you look at some of the recent business success stories, they're in sectors that didn't exist 10 years ago, So, so maybe that's where the real opportunities are.
Great. Well, I think I'm actually going to round off the webinar now because there's still a few questions left, but they would take quite a while to get into, and we simply don't have the time for it. So I'd just like to round off by saying thank you to Alistair and Rod. Really, you've brought a lot to the table today, and I'm sure it's going to be useful for everybody who's been listening in. I can at least say personally that I've really enjoyed speaking with the both of you today and listening to what you guys have to hear. It's all valuable for me, at least. And before we go, I do want to make a quick message to Mercy Ships because we are sponsoring Mercy Ships to a degree. So I'd just like to ask everyone who is listening in to donate a few euro, a few pounds here and there to Mercy Ships because it's a very good cause for helping people and children in need around Africa mostly, but I'm sure around the world as well. So thank you again for everyone who's watching, and thank you again, Alistair and Rod.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Nicholas. Much appreciated. Bye.
Have a nice evening.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.